I think a lot of people who get pushed jobs is because their production and proof in their core role is not there. So you never give a superstar a job because you would never take them off the production they're producing. And when that's unclear, it's not that they're not performing. When it's unclear to the rest of an organisation, they get lumped with it. And so you've got to ask yourself, where do people not value my time and how do they see my performance? So I was listening over the weekend to an old podcast, but I think it was Chris Williamson, and I was reflecting on it, and we're talking a little bit about people going through this major transition at the moment in AI and small business and some of the pressures. And for those who've spent any time on TikTok or Instagram every single day, I know my feed is inundated with people making announcements of closing down their businesses. They're going through a tough time. End of financial year here in Australia. Overseas, there's all these sort of mandatory wage rises and things in all different forms. So you're seeing some really heartbreaking stories, and it sort of got me thinking, listening to Chris's podcast, that he was talking about one of the really powerful ideas that he heard that I think rings true. And I want to ask you the question because I'm interested in your response. Obviously, that's why you ask a question. But the question was, if someone was watching your life as a movie right now, what would they be screaming at the screen telling you to do? That is so obvious for the character's development.
Yep.
What would they be screaming at to say, hey, this 100% is what you should be doing now. Do it, do it, do it.
Yeah. If we look at, in its simplest thing, I've not heard the question before. We didn't pre-talk about this. The first thing that popped into my head.
You don't need a caveat, mate. That's
No.
the point. This is a casual conversation between two friends.
Thank you for describing exactly what's going on.
Thanks for taking everyone through how we think about a podcast.
No. The first thing that popped into my head was stop asking for permission.
Huh?
That was the words that came into it. That would be like,
what do you mean?
Well,
where?
I would
don't
say
give the superficial. I want the downright Oprah. Why aren't you in tears? Come on.
Oprah takes people
come
there.
On,
That doesn't just expect
you're
it.
putting up a blocker. Let people in.
No.
Let people in. It is your fault. I mean, sorry, it's not your fault. No, but seriously.
That's a little insight into the way we operate.
No, but seriously. So what do you mean by that?
Well, I think we're all built on the stories that we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those stories probably don't serve us anymore. But we're just operating on that same system that we've naturally done.
Sounds like you've bought a self-help book recently.
Really hard to have a conversation
No,
with.
I'm asking.
I actively avoid them, and I actively avoid thinking time. I try and put as much noise around my brain as possible.
No, really teasing.
For me, if I was looking on the outside, I go, I know that I have a skill set, I have ideas, I have things that I know that should happen, but my natural operating system, or the way I normally operate, is to go, hey, I've got this idea, do you think it would work, or can we try this, rather than just going, I'm going to try it. And that old kind of, what's that saying that you always use? Ask for permission, ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah, it's certainly a saying we use here a lot there. Well, okay, so I mean, to me that's insightful. You're a seasoned man.
Yeah.
So when will this change, and why? Because this is, to me, this is an interesting thing, and much as we know each other very well, so we can tease each other a little, and I'm not letting you off the hook there because I think it's worth exploring, because I think, as I said, we're seeing a lot of pain out there in business owners at the moment. It's a massive transition. There's carnage. It's a hidden carnage because a single business goes out of business or is going backwards, or there's a business owner sitting at home going, I've got no idea where to get my next sale from. I don't know how am I going to keep this afloat. Like, there's a lot of pain out there. We see it. We know it. we're in tune to it. I think this whole idea is important right now because the idea we were talking about last week, which was the devil's the artwork, the devil's playing for your soul. We were talking about, which is the man sitting there playing for his soul and in deep despair, but looking at the board, he's still got moves. He just can't see him because he's already resigned to the fact that it's over. He's lost his soul, and the coyness of the devil in the painting, knowing that even when there's opportunities, the person's already given up, so he's won. And so there's a dichotomy there of you, even when you've still got opportunities, a chance to try, air in your lungs, resource. This is to me, it's not a negative topic. There's a wake up call at the moment that particularly all businesses are going through, including our own. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. And for me, I'm sort of want to push this idea, and I think despair is not necessarily it's all over despair. It is I'm a little lost because what we used to do doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, the question, the way you're phrasing it now is a different question to what you asked before.
Well,
because with how I am understanding it, but what I hear from what you're saying there's despair and there's desperation, which can kind of work together.
But wait a minute, that's
feel very similar.
Potentially an interpretation of how you're going, right? Because as soon as you hear despair, all you're doing is putting what despair means to you, right? For me, the despair is that a point of the end of something because it's over and you haven't accepted it, but actually what you think the end of something is the destruction of all versus the birth of a new opportunity. Others see the despair as the birthplace of innovation. We've seen it for companies, we've seen it in our own lives, we've seen it in interpretation, but that's, I guess, going back to the question, the interesting part there is really, if not now, when, and what would we actually have to do right now to extract that? Because I think if we can explore that on a level for people listening in, this is a difficult question we're all going through, right?
Yeah. And I think I'm in a lucky position because I think finding the opportunities in these times, for me personally anyway, it's a team sport. Because when you're trying to get a new habit or trying to break an old one, it's really easy to fall back into old patterns. I've been lucky with you and Lance and around because we know each other so well. We go, we've made this decision and you can help pull me. Go, no, wait a sec.
But I want to challenge it.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've been totally unlucky because you're in an environment where it goes back to repeating the same habits.
Yeah.
So why is it lucky if you still feel like that? If you like, this is to me the interesting thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a decision. These kind of things would be decisions you make every day. It's not a big decision that goes.
Yeah.
And depending on the day, sometimes it's the same as exercise, the same as food. Like you can go a week of strong, a month of strong, a year of strong, and then the wrong day hits and you make the old decision again. And then that compounds on itself. So
what's the circuit breaker then? So the person screaming at you now from the audience, all of us are cheering it on, wanting this character to take the leap of faith, so to speak. What do you deep down feel is the reason you identified that so quickly? Because we all have these, and I'm happy to talk about sort of contemplating my own. What would the audience be screaming at me right now? And it's an interesting thing. So what do you think it is? If I said there would be something that influenced a complete change in that, and the audience played you like a video game and actually played your character, what would change now?
A really good question. I don't think it would be a single change, a single fact. I think it's multiple. It would be, or it is, because we're in, once again, one of those processes of doing something like this. It would be multiple factors across different areas of your life that you want. Hold that standard. If you go, this is what I stand for now, or this is what I am, I have to be that not only at work, I have to be that for my family, I have to be that for my friend group. Because anything, if you don't hold that line in all of those areas, it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I'm living that truth in business, but not living it in my personal life, that's going to chip away, if you know what I mean.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
But do you think that's one of those dumb sayings? How you do one thing is how you do everything? Because
No, I do not.
Well, so are you saying everything in your life is at the same standard and balance?
No, I'm saying that I can see indicators in other areas of my life that I go, oh, there's something not right at work or whatnot.
Yeah.
So my car is a great indicator of how my mental state is on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
When I'm on and firing, it's clean. There's nothing in there. I've been in sales for quite a while.
There are signs, right?
Yeah. And I look at that and I see that and go, what's wrong
mine's
somewhere
my desktop.
else?
The chaos in the brain is generally how many tabs open.
Yeah.
I'm sure a few people can relate to that.
I've seen your computer.
Yeah.
It's not a fun place to be.
Yeah, I used to think A Beautiful Mind was a motivational story. Then I saw how it ended, and it was like you can go mad in the process. But maybe that's just owning and running a business. But no, I'm not letting you off the hook. Sorry, you're now. Yeah, you're not getting off this one. This has taken a turn for the worst for you.
Luckily, I'm in charge of the edit. So
I've got something. Yeah, I've got a bee in my bonnet now, and I want to explore this because honestly, I think the relationship a lot of people are going. I look at it slightly differently. If you can I ask permission to delve into that, Nigel? I'm going in. But I think this is half what you were describing before is essentially overwhelm. I've got this, and it's not one thing that I could change. It's actually 100 little pieces with a 5% upgrade.
Yeah.
Would make a massive impact. But that wasn't actually the question. That's the brain making sure it can't explore it because you dissipate the enemy. It's the Sun Tzu. If you don't know what enemy you're attacking, you can't actually solve, right? So it's one of the brain's reaction is, wow, he's asking something, it's pressing, we're recording, the bastard didn't even give me warning. Yeah. So I get it, right?
Yeah,
no, it's good. It's all right. It's coming back with interest. I realise that. And
a toll will be paid.
No. But, accept the gift, Nigel. Right, but this was the madness of my weekend because I think on things a lot, and it just got really into my head about it because there is something profound in it. But seeing your reaction to exactly how business owners, entrepreneurs, people making a leap in their life or wanting to make great change, or it starts in your brain the protection mechanism of dissipate where the problem is, so we don't move. And so it puts all the pieces around because you can't grab one of them. And that's to me, the interesting thing, especially when we've ever worked with really great CEOs and all that. They get to a certain point in their business that's a shift point of whether they're taking the business to the next level or deep down they've actually had enough of their business. They don't want to be CEO anymore. And so they start dissipating and making it very difficult to see what needs to change to make profound impact quickly, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to at the moment because so much is changing. We're rebuilding business models. We need new plans. We need live plans, all the great stuff we talk about on Backable. But the feeling doesn't change for you. So the perfect example you just gave was there's so many things that I could improve slightly that would make this huge thing. But actually, if you ask the brain, no, what's the one thing that would have a profound impact right now, and then I'll worry about the other things. So we actually try and bypass that first security gate, which is let's not fix everything. What's the root cause that would have most impact for minimum amount of effort, do you think right now? It doesn't even have to be performance, but if you actually sat back and go, I don't want to say it in this way, but where am I most unhappy? Because to me, that's where I go back to. That's generally what about my life right now am I most unhappy about? I'm going to start there because that's the most important in my life. Now, it doesn't mean there's a simple answer, but I'm actually genuinely interested because let's bypass that first security gate. What would have the most profound effect, do you think, right now? And remember, it's just the audience shouting at you. Do this, Nigel. Do it. You can do it. You're that guy. You are Iron Man. Seriously, right?
Thank you for speaking my language, by the way. I don't know if it's the answer that you want to hear, or if it's another gate. That's another protection mechanism. But it would come down to, for me, just say what you want.
That's cool. It's interesting that your preface is not what I want to hear, because it's great, because when you've been playing in this game a lot in high performance, you see the caveats that your mind wants to put out there to, I want to be right. So I need to say what I want, but I'll put an apology at the front of it. No, but it's great. But this is, and also thank you, because we're delving into something that people sitting by themselves in their cars now, this is heartbreaking, because you don't have a conversation. You're in a safe place. You're working it through your own. You're holding these things in. This is, to me, the essence of importance of why we need to talk about these things publicly, albeit they can be quite confronting.
Yeah.
So what are you saying you want? Because even that doesn't allow us to solve it. It then opens it up to every possibility, where you get to the specificity of what are you not asking for exactly. And that might not be a direct question, but I'm saying.
No, I would say overall I'm an incredibly polite person and generally will put everyone else's needs above my own. So, and even using something as simple as and it's something we've discussed ages ago, the dinner conversation about what do you want for dinner?
Yeah.
Whatever you want, whatever's easiest for you. That's my standard response to it.
Yeah.
When I go, no, I want steak.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I want, but I don't want to put you out.
Yeah.
To actually get that.
So I think that's a really interesting example, because many people go through exactly that same. You get so annoyed over the most meaningless decision, but it's actually not, because what we're discussing in the simple conversation of what do you want for dinner with, say, your partner or friends is it's showing where leadership falls down, because someone else asking you is asking to take a burden of decision away because they're overwhelmed by what they've done today, not just the fact that they want to be polite. Yeah. Politeness may have been an early on, but actually when most people do it over and over again, it's a shroud of politeness on, I just don't want to make another decision.
Oh, and if we use that example specifically.
Well, is it? Yeah.
Then I have, that is because I make decisions all day, like through work.
Exactly.
And then I've actually had the conversation with my wife going, this is the one thing that I don't want to think about.
Yeah,
this is the decision I don't want to make because it's not as important to me as it is important to you.
So but isn't that interesting? Which is, well, why is that then a problem? So to me, it is
because she's in overwhelm about deciding what to do every night.
Exactly. So the stress comes up of wanting to make sure you've worked hard and done that. So. Yeah. Is that the type of leadership you want to leave to your partner? It's not a judgment thing, but these are the interesting things that translate directly to business, where we think we're being a good leader because we're allowing others to contribute, where they're longing for clear direction. They're longing for it. And I'm not going to speak about you and Trish specifically, but your first thing is, I'm too polite. I know what I want. And then you've set an infrastructure around not getting what you want and putting the burden on someone else. So you've literally got that complete conflicting view of, because you just said it, one thing equals everything. So what you've done is used an example where you've actually outsourced something you don't want to do, but you want to stay. But you've actually outsourced. You said, I want that to not be a responsibility. All you have to do is read my mind. So it's an interesting infrastructure, because we do it a lot when we look around in all of our aspects of life. But I'm equally interested in the business side right now. If they said, hey, how would you go to the next level in production in the company? Not content production. I'm talking about personal production, deep fulfillment in your career, the things you want to be known for, that you want to show, that you want to do. What level of politeness would have to be removed from you? How would the behavior?
So many levels in the
brain again.
No. There's a specific around it.
Great.
The first thing would be push back on the things that are not my responsibility.
Amazing.
That would be, because we've been in this off and on startup phase through many companies, and there's and that startup thing energy is, I can help you. Can you do this for me? Can I do that? And go, yes, I can. That's my natural thing.
Yeah.
But the cost of that is huge in the areas that I need to focus on. Because what someone sees as a 5-minute job isn't a 5-minute job. It's half hour, an hour of doing it. Then it's the half hour or whatever on either side of it, taking me out of where I should be.
Do you want to have a horrible conversation?
Oh, yeah.
It is a horrible conversation. We might have to turn off the comments. I've got a new theory about this.
Okay.
And it's not even new theory. It's probably a verbalized theory, but for the sake of an argument, I think a lot of people who get pushed jobs is because their production and proof in their core role is not there. So you never give a superstar a job because you would never take them off the production they're producing. And when that's unclear, it's not that they're not performing. When it's unclear to the rest of an organisation, they get lumped with it.
Okay.
I can just do this versus imagine the importance of your role, which is they don't just take it to the CEO. When the CEO's got time, because what is the production? And so you've got to ask yourself, where do people not value my time and how do they see my performance?
Yep.
So you would never take stuff to particular people in the business because it's too important what they're doing.
No, 100%. And I think this is really getting into the couch element of it. Within our
I'm not suggesting you're not performing.
No. But no, just let's use that as an example because that's visibility within an organisation. I know my roles and I know what I've got to do and whatnot, but my role sits outside most of the company. So when we're looking at the consultancy and whatnot, the consultants had regular parts that they need to converse and whatnot. In sales, it's out on the road, out of the office, those kind of things. So they don't actually see the activity or would really understand that part of the business.
I'm not sure. I'm sure a lot of salespeople feel like that. But even the whole idea of that language pattern of I'm outside the business, no, actually central to the top part of not just the funnel, but what is it about them? What is it about you getting stuff that's not on your plate? The question you've got to ask is, well, why is it being brought to me?
Yeah.
Not because I don't want to do it. I might be accepting it and I'm a Mr. Fix-It, which I get.
Yeah.
But this is the whole idea of looking around at, well, the question was, how do you go to the next level of performance? So the first one is push back.
Yeah.
Right. What is not in my remit? But the second part of it is then what is, and where am I playing the superstar role in my role? So what would take your production in the level in which you're responsible for to the next level or to a world-class level? And this is the interesting part to me, is where in your role, and this is what we should all ask each other, is where am I not world-class?
Yeah. I think that's an easy answer. Well, no, that's not an easy answer. That where would be the next step up would be actually carving out, guarding and protecting time to learn and upskill.
Right.
Because we're operating at a rhythm which is quite hectic. It's probably a pattern that
100% is.
So sales was always about get the sale, not so that immediate dopamine hit took over from build this funnel, build this whatever it is to generate more. Now I'm helping out in production and whatnot. It's get content out, not get the plan. We had this discussion the other day about utilizing AI and automations and those kind of things. So I would say traditionally I'd probably had trouble in pulling myself out from chopping the wood to sharpening the axe.
Absolutely. And I think these are the things we all have to talk about. And let's talk about what is my role in a company. That's all of us. Your role is to make yourself redundant. That's what a superstar does in their business. And when you see people go through companies quickly, they're getting promoted, they're getting more responsibility, they're getting more important jobs or more impactful jobs, I should say. By the way, not everyone in the business should be doing that. There's some people who come in and do a great role and perform and create the harness for the whole business. So this is not a conversation that's sort of a paintbrush over an entire company. But if you think about that, and when you talk through it and people are shouting you, don't do that or do this or do that, is, well, there's not a lack of awareness from how to perform, which is part of your role in any business, is to sharpen your axe and work out how to make yourself redundant because you can replace yourself in the current role you're playing. So if you're not doing that daily by upskilling all that, you will never be replaced because you're always you're doing it. So the way that an arsehole would ask it then is, why aren't you doing your job? Because your job is to upskill yourself. You're not bringing intelligence, best practice into the business from a role you're responsible for. So the ball's dropped there. So we are not world class now, and others have to look over to your shoulder and make sure you haven't dropped the ball on best practice. So why is that an acceptable thing?
And I think it's something that if you're in delivery, like, and there's times that it's a balance that everyone, I would assume people would struggle with, because
100%.
finding that going, like me justifying going, I need 2 days out just to sit and think and map here when I go, but I know that I've got 48 pieces of content to put out, those kind of things as well.
It's the brain again though, see? But even think about what the brain's saying there. Who said you need 2 days? You haven't done 2 hours. I mean, this is not personal, by the way. This is exactly how we all think in businesses. This is exactly how owners get in overwhelm. You keep people getting overwhelmed until they break. Nigel's just bloody tough, and we're all tough, and we work through Spark. But if you actually think about it, even the language that comes out is, I need 2 hours. No, you don't. You start with, I'm going to put half an hour a week to just research. I'm going to set up an agent to go, this is what I'm trying to achieve. I'd like you to bring me, I'd like to be up to date with everything in this area of my expertise. The brain is trying to stop you shifting. In every response, in every idea, it's the first thing it goes to. Because if you know your brain's in high performance, the first thing it goes to is, you know what? I'm actually going to turn on one of my AIs during my ride in and just talk to it about best practice. Great, I'm done for, now I'm 1,000 times more informed. So that's a 2-second job that will never get done, without thinking through it. This is the importance of that step back. But the brain is fighting it at such a high level because it's trying to put in impractical solutions to make sure you don't do it. You don't need 2 hours. You need to build up to 2 hours or a week or a month or whatever it is. You need to, and this is all of us. But this is I think what I find the funny thing about it. If the audience is watching and screaming and going, you don't need 2 hours, you need to take the first step. And it's that, isn't it? That finding of, you don't even have the 30 seconds to go, what would I do here? Because you're so in it. As you said, you're producing huge amounts of content. There's 30 tabs open. We got production happening. Well, next one, it's complete overwhelm versus, and you know it, chopping the wood, sharpening the axe, and we don't do it. And it's just to me, it's a fascinating thing.
And I think it's something that's probably built, I know it's built into me specifically because my life revolves around it, but I've seen it in a lot of other business people that we've spoken to, is using my exercise as an example. I am an endurance athlete. I train endurance. I train to stay in pain for long times and still perform. I used to pride myself on that. And pride, I can take a hit, I can keep moving. That's actually not something that's a good thing to have. Like high pain threshold around business challenges, all of those kind of things.
No, it slows you down.
Yeah, 100%. But that's a really hard thing for me. And I know people that you hear it every day in networking rooms and those kind of things. Oh, I'm so busy, I work so hard, I'm doing this. It's a badge of honor for a lot of people. So actually finding a solution to that, would that not kind of chip away at their own identity?
100%. And the reality is most people who are in overwhelm don't want to think about another solution because actually having a solution opens up too many things. Yeah. But the reality of it right now is we have to accept the ridiculousness of how we all perform in certain times, because getting into this despair state, anxiety and all that, and actually having no energy for the change, that's the magical part right now. But instead of, most people think it'll take such a long time versus we've just set now and go, great, no, we're still going back to the core question. What's the one thing you can do? And we're going to watch it and we're going to see it. And you're going to say, right, I'm moving from here. I'm going to upgrade myself 50% in the next month. What's the what has to change? What has to stop? Because most people are working out, well, it's been so hard to get to this point in my life. It must take equally the same time to change, move and all that, and go, no, it's actually probably maybe if you spent 15 minutes mapping out 1 or 2 effective things, start there. You gave the analogy of the gym. How do you start the gym? Well, you turn up to the gym, stand near the equipment. The next thing is you'll grab something.
You get
the
a
third thing is
membership first. Yeah.
It builds itself around you're in the environment to allow things to shift. Well, what's the equivalent environment in a professional thing?
So in this, because overwhelm is something we all go through,
course,
and
yeah.
like I know that through the build, you've gone through it in various forms as you've had to change what you're doing. What's the... Oh, now I've lost my question. So in that overwhelmed state, it is really, I've noticed in myself, it is hard to identify the things that need to change.
Mm.
For someone that is in that state at the moment, would you say addition or subtraction is the place to start?
No, I think it's impossible to answer. That's why the question's so important, because you're removing it from what you would say. And that's why I'm asking you the question is, what would the audience be shouting at you?
So I couldn't add something without taking something away first.
Great.
So for me, it has to be
subtract
to...
Well, wait a minute. Why is that the immediate reaction versus if I had to do both? So play both. So if you had to add something, what would it be? And if it's more effective, what would be removed? Or if I had to remove something, what would that space allow? It's actually not that. It's again the brain making sure if I have to add something, I have to subtract something. So now you're working on two problems and you split. So you will not get a solution. Versus, great, what's one thing that would upgrade whatever I'm working on, or that question, what someone's shouting at? So if you said, I need to be, sorry, for your response around that was, I need to say no to more things. Yeah. Great. What things right now are a complete waste of your time or don't align to the vision you have of who you are, what you're building, and where you know you're going to take the role professionally? Yeah. So what doesn't align with that? Go there, put a line through it. So what stops you doing that? And the answer will be, but some of these things are important. I didn't say every one of them. I said go and put a line through them and then work out where they stay. So cut too deep and then put them back. And if you're not, this is the actual key to performance in small businesses particularly, but big businesses, they have a massive impact. Problem is that's when you see the mass layoffs and all this. Like, how did a business that laid off 40,000 people the day before still operate the day after?
Yeah.
How? So the reality is things then refit to what the status quo is. And I'm not suggesting mass layoffs. It's just an interesting observation when you look at these things. It's not like the business disappeared the next day.
Yeah.
So if you sit there and say, I went through my whole calendar and I put a red line through everything that didn't have impact to these three things or to what the audience was screaming at me, great. What happens if you're wrong and you cut too deep?
Push that back in.
Great. So what's the then hesitation? And this is where most people are doing that, because then you sit there and go, well, I don't even have time to go through my calendar. So no one ever gets to the solution because the brain is fighting to not change the status quo. And it's so simple to jump out of overwhelm, but you actually have to make the decision to do the thing that's so simple. And most of the answers to all this are so simple. And this is what we want to do. So the first thing is, let's go cut out everything that doesn't align to that. What else? So what would you add in that would change your world? Or what would the audience say?
What would the audience say?
Yeah. This is holistically, not just work. Like what would, if you look at it as a thing, what would the audience say right now you need more of? What gives you energy? What inspires you? What makes you feel more powerful?
I've a very simple life, and I know the things that, and I've already carved out the time for those to ensure that I get to do them. So for me, it's exercise, upskilling my jump rope, drawing, and time with my daughter.
Great.
Those are the things that I've already allotted in. I could expand time with my daughter specifically.
Yeah, but is that a thing you do right now? Is that is that an actual priority, or is that in terms of would that drive you to be happier?
Yeah, 100%.
Great. So what needs to happen? So what would be the simplicity of that? And then you start to define, well, what does more time mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean take her out of school? Does that mean spend time more on weekends? So what is meant by that? Because that's the thing I find most interesting about all of this is you say things like that, and we all do, and we say, I'd love to do this. And then when you break it down to what does it actually mean? Well, I'd love to be home early on a Wednesday, for instance, or something, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, the specific around that is I would like to spend more time doing something meaningful with my daughter, not just being around in the same space.
So what does that mean in your mind?
So that's going out and doing something, a daddy-daughter date, going and learning a new skill, going to a movie, going and doing things that aren't running errands, that aren't your normal weekend kind of things.
Yeah.
Because she's at that transitional age now where I can already start to see, she's turning into a tween and teen.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to beg for time later.
So that's a real simple fix, right?
Yep.
Which is literally, which is great. Book it in and it's done.
Yeah.
The only difference is not booked in, right?
It is. Now,
No, but well, that's interesting. So you take that and you've got that in place. What is the audience screaming now? What is the deflection to you personally? That's a big one. But what is it right now for you that changes the whole way you feel? Not that there's major issues, but how do you feel right now? What would the audience scream at you?
That one I honestly don't know.
Yeah, right.
So it's because that's a big question.
You don't have to solve it all. Just what's one thing that you sit there and go, wow, this is something that annoys me? Because the brain's fighting now, which is what happens, right? Yeah. And you're on the spot. But equally, most of us feel on the spot because we only have 10 minutes to think about something. We can't get to solution. So we have to try and build this new tool, which is if I had to remove one thing that actually doesn't serve me right now, what would it be? And we've spoken about this on previous podcasts that Alana and I used to do it in the office. We'd remove one thing. But actually the real game is mentally removing one thing, and not your environment is a outcome of the mental state. So right now we're talking about what is a thing we can remove, or what is a thing we can add now, or what is the thing we could try that we haven't tried before to go to the next level. And I think it's difficult, right? Because the brain doesn't want to go in there.
It's literally, it hits up against the wall.
Yeah.
It just goes, no, you've done the thing, like you've said the thing that you can say. Now I don't, like you asked me and all I heard was white noise in my head.
Which is how we all feel when we get to that point of, well we've been, what are we even talking about? Yeah. It is so important in those moments when we all get to the white noise, when we get to the bit where like, I literally don't have the answer. It's like, great, then let me allow it to come to me. But the reality is export it to a depth to start provoking it. You remember, if you've been doing the same thing over and over again, it's actually hard to just order a breakthrough. This is, to me, how we need to think during periods of change. And we have to actually start asking ourselves, what is the thing right now that doesn't serve me anymore? Because the speed in which you can identify things that don't serve you, the speed of action change and small action towards a completely new way of behaving and being, changes everything. And to me, this is a good mental practice to continue to do, because it's essentially a form of rebirth of leadership. Because I actually need to question everything right now. And I either need to add to it or subtract, but I'm not allowed to leave it as the status quo. So if you had to rehire every idea in your brain again, which ones would actually make the rehire person you want to be tomorrow? You get to reinvent yourself every single day if you give yourself permission to do that. And the first way to give yourself permission, and this is sort of a weekly practice I've got, is who gets to come on board again from my ideas? Which ideas are actually great ideas, but they're not going anywhere? What are the emotional states that actually don't serve me? What are the behaviours, the things we do when you start to reform? Now, it's not like you're rebuilding or spending hours and hours to do this. It's just a nice idea of, why am I allowing this idea to be the central idea of my day when I've got a million others and I've just allowed this person to take the front seat? And that leads to difficulty and hardship and all that. So, well, that's a choice I'm making as soon as I'm aware of it. Maybe that's the thought for today.
Well, thank you for destroying me for the rest of the day.
You're welcome.
Can't wait to chat again, buddy.
See you tomorrow.